companies with a strong first-party data culture and practice were able to survive and grow much more efficiently. So in the past, companies used to plan long-term media plans and then they used to sort of tweak them when needed. Today, we're seeing dedicated squads that are constantly testing, constantly learning and constantly applying those learnings. I think with the increased move to D2C as well, this is bringing in new data streams that were not previously available, and they're able to get a much better view of these consumers.
Hello and welcome to Growth Genius series brought to you by DMA Asia and Infidigit. My name is Shelly and I'm the Country Director Americas at Infidigit. I'm also the founder and director at DMA Asia. In this Growth Genius series, the world's best marketers and business leaders are interviewed about the brands they have worked on, their successful campaign strategies, how they got noticed by their customers, and how they delivered better customer experiences to drive growth. In each episode, we want to share about the big idea that inspires these marketers, the campaign trail they used to execute it, and how it all came together. I am delighted to have today David Charles Whittaker, Managing Director and Partner of Marketdata, the data-driven marketing company from the VMLY&R business of the WPP Group. David started his marketing journey at the Electrolux Group through some of the most known agencies, Wonderman, Ogilvy and Rapp, as well as his own company through Marketdata, where he's been working for almost 15 years now. He's involved with data-driven projects in a number of markets, including Latin America, Europe and Asia, and has spoken at data marketing events from Sydney to San Francisco, Buenos Aires to Mumbai, and San Sebastian to Rio. A very warm welcome, David.
Thanks, Shelley. Great to see you and a pleasure to be here with you.
Great. So you have an interesting path. Please tell us how your professional journey has developed.
Thanks. Okay, so as you mentioned, I was coordinating the marketing at three small companies within the Electrolux constructor division. It was very business to business orientated and demanded a broad range of efforts with advertising, events, PR, as well as direct marketing, where I had the opportunity to implement a computerized customer database, quite a new thing for our group in the pre-email world of 1990. So this system became the heart of the sales strategy, registering and guiding all the opportunities and leads throughout, right to repeat business, totally integrated with the sales force.
Okay. And was this where you discovered your interest in data-driven marketing?
So one of my management functions was to report the marketing and sales results at the quarterly meetings to the directors and the sales division, who were a very practical bunch, you can imagine, very sales focused, of course.
Yeah.
I found that contrary to PR and advertising, when I discussed the direct and data initiatives, the really tangible results obtained made my job a lot easier. Also, as the sales force were integrated with the database strategy, the benefits were very apparent to everybody. Mm-hmm. I finally had discovered the X of accountability and first-party data. I found it so compelling and wanted to learn more. So I enrolled in the post-graduation in direct marketing, which is at the IDM, based at the Imperial College in London, where I learned the theory and practice with some of the top practitioners of the time. And I also met my future wife, but that's another story.
Wow, great. So where did this qualification lead you?
Okay, so I now had a good understanding and practical application of the subject, but my experience was limited to one specific vertical. So needing to expand my experience, I understood that an agency was the way to gain a broader knowledge. Mm-hmm. So anyway, in London, I contacted over 60 agencies and received 2 offers, and I chose the lower paid role of the 2, which was actually from Wonderman London.
Okay.
It was the lower paid role, but it gave me the chance to work with American Express, British Airways, and Hilton Hotels, 3 fantastic brands.
Yeah. And
that really enabled me to spend the next almost 25 plus years working with many great companies, expanding their activities with first-party data and customer loyalty across several countries.
So you mentioned first-party data. Is that an important factor for companies today?
Well, we've just carried out a survey of a cross-section of companies and discovered some interesting indicators. The companies with a strong first-party data culture and practice were able to survive and grow much more efficiently than those who had not invested in this area during the COVID pandemic. In terms of defending their best customers' revenue stream, there was an almost 40% rise in these companies versus companies without a customer data focus, and a 43% improvement in their ability to direct customers to their digital channels. We also heard that the first-party data companies were able to take faster decisions, 59%, and more able to understand the specific needs of their customers, 88%.
Wow.
So you can see we're looking at some vast improvements here. We also know that the restrictions in cookie use and the increasing importance of privacy rules is really forcing companies that were never that serious about first-party data to bring it to the top of their priority list, with a visible increase in marketing investment versus media-based initiatives.
That's great. So what are some of the main benefits that companies are gaining by investing in this area?
So I'd say the first main benefit is the ability to know and understand each customer as an individual and a segment, including their consumption habits, their likes, their dislikes. Understanding each customer is a great foundation for anything you choose to implement later, a great base for the other benefits, if you like. So secondly, when we apply the learnings from first-party data to an online media campaign, it allows us to be far more targeted versus a general DMP-oriented approach. We're seeing a lift of over 5 times in some of the principal campaign KPIs. And also, with the knowledge we glean, we can tailor products, services, and offers to each consumer with far greater relevance. And fourthly, I would say, is the ability to create a trusted dialogue or a connection, if you like, between a brand and a consumer. When we get to the stage of predictive analysis application using first-party data, we have an incredibly powerful advantage.
Wow. So please tell me more about this advantage and how it is so incredibly powerful.
So a lot of data work and dashboards is looking in the rear view mirror, monitoring and learning from past experiences. So when we apply predictive analysis, we have the ability to have a very good idea of what will probably happen in the future. A recent survey in the Harvard Business Review showed that of all the applications of statistics and artificial intelligence, the principal application is for predictive analysis. That was at 82%, almost 3 times higher than the second main use. So when we apply the predictive learning, we can see who is likely to want to purchase what and when, and communicate that specific product or service. An example of this is in the auto industry, where we use these learnings to drive people to not only their next car, but support them along the customer life cycle with their post-sales specific needs. Therefore, our communications are not sales approaches. They're a valued service helping the customers. With an increased emphasis on the customer journey, we can identify and deliver the next best experience along that journey, optimizing every customer and potential customer relevantly, vastly improving the conversion.
So are there any challenges to using first-party data?
Well, great question, Shelly. That's a great question. So I'd say that having a well-planned and organized strategy and data ecosystem is crucial. I mean, we still see companies that have bought a MarTech solution, hired the cheapest possible supplier to hook up the data feeds, and then they wonder why the end result isn't what the brochure made them expect. Just last week, we were talking to a prospective client's team, both the marketing area and the IT area. The marketing team thought that the main issue was that the tech side needed consolidating and improving. The tech team thought that all was working perfectly and all the market tech was flowing as it should be. It was interesting because the MarTech assistant asked a very innocent question. She asked, but so when I send an SMS communication, I've seen that the consumers are receiving 6 versions of this. Why is that happening? So, we know that, when we start our job together with these companies, often we start with quite a full sort of assessment and a gap analysis to really understand and to help companies uncover the areas where they need to improve. Over the last few years, we also had the introduction of privacy legislation in several countries, which everyone seems to have taken on board now. So I would say that was a challenge, but that's pretty much under control now. And then obviously there's always the big challenge of data security. So I would think that probably is one of the most important things that companies are looking at the moment. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's very interesting. And can you share any one example of a marketing campaign you have done recently and one that you admire done by someone else, which has used first-party data and predictive analysis?
Okay. Wow. One campaign. So let me think. So when we're doing projects which involve next best offer and next best experience, they're always very satisfying projects. We have a very nice project with Volvo Trucks, which is in partnership with their dealers as well, which we have running in 4 countries, which makes them really making their post-sales process far more efficient, if you like. Okay. So how it works, we analyze all the services needed during the following 30 days for each truck and everything that was needed during the previous 30 days. But we dedupe everything that was done. So within that 60-day window, we call that their current potential. With mass personalization, each of our customer receives an individualized communication based on their specific needs. And a report is also accessed in real time by the dealer's sales team in order for them to have a coordinated approach with each customer. So this is fantastic. So you have the right communication going out at the right time with the specific parts and services that person needs during that particular month. And also the sales force has exactly the same information to follow up that communication. So this has become a benchmark, if you like, for the truck industry. And it's also really satisfying to see Volvo working so well in harmony with their dealers, which I know in a lot of areas, particularly in the auto industry, but in a lot of industries, it can be quite challenging for companies and their dealerships to be working in close harmony. Yeah. So that's one that I'm very proud to have been involved with, and that's been going on for almost 12 years now. Wow. I think that's been growing and evolving to the stage it's at now. So choose a case that I've seen recently that someone else has done. So as you know, I'm involved as a judge for the Echo Awards. Yeah. So we get to see some of the nicest examples, of data-driven marketing. Yeah. I liked a lot of this year's cases. Mm-hmm. There was a couple, if I can break the rules a little bit, there was a couple of cases which I like quite a lot. There was a very nice case I saw for American Express for the Platinum card. So I've always had a very soft spot for American Express because it was one of my first ever clients I worked with at my first ever agency in London. And I had the opportunity to work across 8 different countries with American Express at the time. So they were doing a project I just saw for the Platinum card. What they did, they analyzed their customers' habits, if you like, based on their purchasing trail or their purchasing habits, to understand a little bit about their sort of hobbies and interests. And then what they did, they produced segmented perfumes based on those interests. For example, people who like sort of outdoorsy things, they produced a perfume based on the essence, similar to sort of cut grass essence in this perfume. So each perfume was tailored to the sort of hobbies and interests that this person has, their lifestyle, if you like. So that was an amazing project, I thought, not just to carry out the analysis, the predictive analysis, really understanding the people, but actually to come up with the idea and to produce a perfume tailored to that style of person. So that was one thing I liked. There was another one which I liked very much, which is, again, I think it was fascinating. It was a case for an auto company, and it really impressed me. So when a driver suspects that they have a problem with their car, instead of taking it down to the service station or the auto shop or whatever to get an engineer or a mechanic to look at it, they can record the sound of the engine on their iPhone, and then through machine learning, there's an app that can identify potential problems that the car has based on that sound. So wow. I found that fantastic.
I want that app.
I know, it's amazing. And if you think about it, it's not complicated, obviously, to listen to a few thousand noises, tie that into the problems that the engineers find with those engines. And so, through AI or through linking sound recognition with AI, the company can often solve a customer's problem much, much faster, much, much cheaper, and also leaving the customer much more satisfied. So, that's a project I'd really love to have been responsible for. Someone else did it. Who knows? I would like to have done that project. That's how we judge the best projects, isn't it? It's the ones that we would love to have
right?
done.
It's inspiring basis that you can come up with some more new ideas, about a similar kind of project. So this brings to me to my next question. What are some of the data-driven marketing trends for 2023, for the next year?
Ooh, trends, always interesting. So, there's several. As you know, I'm a practitioner, not a futurist. So let me mention a couple of trends that they're not theoretical, they're not philosophical, but they're starting to be in high demand at the moment, and they're really greatly enhancing customers' results and also disrupting the industry, I would say, but in a good way. A little bit of disruption is always good. So firstly, I think one of the trends I would say is test and learn strategies. So test and learn, the concept, not a new concept, but the way it's being done is a new way of being done. And so we're saying test and learn strategies coupled with mass personalization driven by the technology we have now. So I think that's a trend that seems to be really disrupting the industry. So in the past, companies used to plan long-term media plans, and then they used to sort of tweak them when needed. Today, we're seeing dedicated squads that are constantly testing, constantly learning, and constantly applying those learnings, not only for performance media, but across all the channels, and also including brand effort. So I think that's a trend that's really going to shake up the industry, and it's producing amazing results. The second trend, I think, which is linked to the success of the first, is a new level of measurement. So in the past, companies have looked at the KPIs, and they've sort of looked full funnel at the KPIs, from last click, attribution analysis, different weightings, etc. But we've always based it really on the click and going forwards from the click. So what we're looking at now is the impact not only on the usual KPIs, but also the impact on the brand and the direction the communications could be taking a brand in the short and medium term. So this is something that we've been looking at and introducing to a few companies, and it's something that's causing a great amount of interest. We've been running tests on this throughout Latin America. We're looking at doing some tests in the Asian market and also in the MENA market, Middle Eastern, North Africa market now with this, where you can actually run a campaign and look at not only these KPIs, but also how it's affecting your brand and people's response to your brand this week. So I think this is a trend that's going to be really, really impactful. For many years, we've been able to have a sort of media mix modeling where we model the last 2 to 3 years of results. And so we're not just looking in the rear view mirror with this, we're really, looking quite a long way back. And then we can apply that to the future, we understand. But with this new sort of methodology of modeling, not only the KPIs, but also the brands in, as we call it, near real time, we're actually looking at results that came in up to midnight yesterday on the actual sort of brand health, if you like. So that's something to look out for in 2023. I get very excited by this, but certainly look out for what we call the brand health tracker in 2023. It's like the sort of health tracker we have. Where's my health tracker? I've been charging it up. These little health trackers we have on our wrists. It's basically that for a company, for a brand.
Or brand's health checker. Okay.
Brand health tracker. Exactly.
Okay.
You heard it. You heard it here first. Remember that.
Yes.
Just kidding.
So, we look forward to see the whole implementation and to see the actual product. We will love to see it.
Obviously, with the economic situation as it is, most companies are focusing far more on their business efficiency. So, the trends that we're seeing coming to the fore are really trends that are helping customers maximize their return on investment. And I think we're going to see that throughout 2023 and 2024.
So that was my, in fact, next question, that with the world economy now indicating difficult times ahead, what do you think CMOs should be prioritizing based on their data?
Wow, another great question. So I'd say, as we could say, with storm clouds gathering over the economy in several countries, I think one of the most important things is to really sort of identify who in your customer base is likely to cancel and approach them in order to start a customer retention process. We've seen several examples recently of companies that have grown very, very quickly, and they're starting to have churn rates which are really, really startling as consumers are cutting back on a lot of the nice to haves, if you like, at the moment. So to use a sailing term, which is a fairly recent passion of mine, when a storm is approaching, what you need to batten down the hatches and just ride through the bad weather. So, in simple business terms, we need to keep a hold of our clients. So don't let them escape to the competition. As I said, there have been a lot of these horror stories in a number of industries about high churns. I would say one of them was the sort of streaming media channels where, we've heard incredible stories of customers churning at an alarming rate. So when we build churn models and we can apply it regularly to a customer base and update the model through machine learning when necessary, the chance of maintaining a client is greatly enhanced. So, I would advise all companies to make sure that their churn models are up to date. And if they don't have a churn model, to certainly make this a priority to, think about, in the good old days, we used to say it's 5 times cheaper to keep a client than to win a new one, or 5 times more expensive to win a new client, etc. I mean, who knows if it's 5 or what the number is, but the principle's still there in any time, but particularly in difficult times, you really need to hang on to your customers. So a good churn analysis to understand where you should be applying what sort of medicine is of utmost importance.
Yes, this is really scary with dwindling customer loyalty. It's really important to retain your customers. So, which are the companies you think are doing very well and which are not doing very well?
Okay, well, obviously, I would never be diselegant and mention any names, but, I would say, the finance industry, telecom, retail, etc., they've been among the strongest in this area, really leveraging the abundance of transactional data they receive. Any company receiving ongoing transactional data of purchases, visits, etc., really has no excuse not to dominate in this area. But what we are seeing now is the traditional FMCG companies catching up fast.
Wow.
I think with the increased move to D2C as well, this is bringing in new data streams that were not previously available, and they're able to get a much better view of these consumers and often map this against their other consumer profiles. So I think it's a very exciting time for first-party data and a very exciting time for what in Europe we call FMCG, I think in the States called CPG companies. Mm-hmm. It's a really exciting time for them and first-party data.
Wow, great. So you mentioned sailing, that was your passion, or that is your passion. So did you have any other after-hours passion that might contribute to your professional life?
Wow. I know we're going to get into after hours passions, but, as you mentioned, sailing is a very new passion. I like to think that I'm in constant training and hoping to learn more and more over the next few years. I have the qualification, but as they say, once you have the qualification is when you start the learning process. So that's where I am now. I think another passion of mine that certainly helps in this area is a passion for investments. I was always keen on maths and business, and found that I not only enjoyed understanding, investing in some long-term strategies, but that I also enjoy helping others along this path. So this helps me a lot, applying marketing strategy for clients, as I tend to use their annual and quarterly reports to understand some of the company's big challenges. So I think this is this is something that certainly adds a lot of value when you're very comfortable with not only looking at sort of marketing strategies, but really digging into the business, if you like, and understanding some of the business strategies that the company has, and also, of course, understanding some of their business KPIs and how we might contribute to that. So I actually set myself a target of dedicating a time for learning of at least 1 hour a day. It's not always easy, but I'm very, very tough with myself and make sure at least 1 hour a day I spend learning. It may not seem much, but I find that the discipline is helpful. Mm-hmm. And also I don't restrict the subjects too much. So I'm very happy to learn a lot about lots of different broad subjects, and I try and dedicate time to that every day to try and learn a little bit more.
That's really great. And I will come back to you for your recommendations for my investment portfolio. So where can our viewers find you?
I'm not qualified to make any recommendations. Okay. I must say I'm not qualified in that area. I have to have
as a friend.
Disclaimer. Oh, as a friend.
Yeah. So where can our viewers find you and connect with you?
Okay, great. So we have the site www.marketdata.com.br, or through LinkedIn. Shelly, we're friends on LinkedIn. It's easy to find me there. David Charles Whittaker, and I'm there at Market Data. So it would be a great pleasure to connect with lots of nice and interesting people.
Wow, that's great. So thank you so much, David, for taking our time for the session today. Your talks have always been very inspiring. And I still remember your presentation at the DMA Asia's annual conference and awards in Mumbai almost 9 years ago. So thank you so much.
Wow, it was a great pleasure and to speak to you. Take care.
Great. To our viewers, if you have any follow-up questions, please comment below. I'd love to have your feedback. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. I'll see you soon in another session with another speaker. Till then, peace.